Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all my YouTube, social media, global friends. Let me just give it a little go. Got to wipe the lens. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate the feedback and the comments and all the support for this journey that we're on, that I'm on. As you all know, I published this recently through my good friends at the Good House. Shout out to Sean Patrick at Karen Mills, Alston. Incredible support. Now, hang on. That audio was probably bad. Why don't we just clip this on? Eh? I have worked in international TV production for 35 years. Used to do sound, but I forgot to put the microphone on myself. Yay. One of my inspirations for my book, The Ramp, was this book I'm sure many of you have read. There we go. I'll try and put a link in there in the description. Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach. I think Richard, it took like 57, whatever the number, rejections before this was published, and now it spent 2 years on the New York Times bestseller list. When was it published? It was published, a long time ago, maybe the 70s. But yeah, maybe the 70s or 80s. I'm sure most of you have read it, but when I got the vision for received the vision for my book, The Ramp, my ego was questioning this vision that was coming at me, and one of the questions was, well, it's too much like Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I love this idea of flying higher than anyone has ever done before, or going way beyond, above and beyond what society or your parents or your family or your friends may say that is possible. So that was a great inspiration for me, and something that came up this morning that came through me during meditation was this idea of leaving the shore. I'm sure most of you have heard this great quote. It's attributed to the Hopi indigenous tribe, Hopi wisdom, and it says something like, and I'm just paraphrasing and got a snippet of it. The river is moving fast now. Some will cling to the shore, afraid, but the elders say, let go, push into the current, keep your head above water, and see who is in there with you. I've been thinking about this a lot lately as the Ramp is published, and I'm going through this transformational journey with you. Creativity and life isn't really about holding onto certainty. I think it's really about letting go and becoming the greatest version of what you're meant to be. For everyone that looks different. For me, it's been a trip. I've spent all of my adult life working in international film and TV production. I started out as a camera person. My dream was to do documentaries and travel the world, being a director of photography, doing projects and documentaries and branded projects for some of the biggest companies in the world, and that was my dream when I was 15 years old. Now I did that, and I traveled to over 40 countries around the world, filmed with some incredible human beings. I was very fortunate to have met and interviewed Nelson Mandela on a few occasions. He was a great figure in my life, in obviously globally, and so meeting him and doing all these other things, traveling the world, filming documentaries in Africa and Alaska and the Arctic Circle, working with some of the biggest non-profits and broadcasting media companies in the world, the BBC, NBC, Discovery Channel, Reuters, AP, bunch of German networks, Australian networks. I was doing what I had envisaged I would be doing. But there came a point when that wasn't enough. Back in the day, the cameras that we had were massive. They were big. They were massive in the 50s and 60s, but they were big when I first when I was doing my career. And when you were filming, you were looking through the viewfinder, and you pretty much had your left eye closed, so you could focus on what you were capturing. You could open your left eye now and again just to check this side, your peripheral, but pretty much your world was looking through this lens, very much a narrow POV, point of view. That was interesting because I'd never thought of that before, but it was kind of a representation of how I was seeing myself and seeing my creative journey. It wasn't until I did a class, I started going to Agape International Spiritual Centre with Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, and Reverend Michael has written a book and created a whole system called the Life Visioning Process. I wish I had a copy of the book here, I couldn't find it. I'll try and post a link in the description. But right about the time I took this class, Life Visioning, I was kind of transitioning from, I was really unhappy with doing this camera job, and you know, it had turned into just a job, and reality TV had taken off, and the projects that I was doing weren't really satisfying my soul. So I was at this point, right, and it was a difficult decision because 3 kids, family. So I kind of was transitioning away from doing that job, and I was very lucky. I got to meet a fantastic friend of mine. We're best mates now, Joel, and we got along fantastically. And he connected me with another world, and he hired me to produce and direct a bunch of projects for him and the company that he was an executive at, Shareability, incredible company, visionary CEO, Tim Staples, and Joel was one of the leaders there. And so I've spent 10 years creating some incredible projects with Shareability, incredible creative team, James, Joel, and a whole bunch of it, and Tim, obviously, Eric Brownstein, phenomenal company, phenomenal group of people. And so right at the time I was just kind of sick of what I was doing. I felt trapped. I knew there was something more that I needed to do in my life. And same time I kind of went out on this, got this vision to write my book, and was doing this life visioning class with Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, that I realized that for years I'd used this camera as a prop to protect me from stepping into the bigger version of who I was meant to be, what I felt like I was meant to be. It's not for everyone. This is just speaking for myself here. And so writing the book and doing this life visioning class, when we used to film, the director or the executive producer would say, go and get me some vision. So you'd go and film, they call it B-roll, GVs in England. You go and film some B-roll. We used to say, go and get me some vision. So you're filming this B-roll with this camera looking through a viewfinder at a very narrow point of view. Doing the life visioning class, I realized, and writing my book, I realized that I needed to be the vision, not just go and capture the vision through a very limited paradigm. So I put down this tool, the tools, the camera that I had used as a shield to kind of, I'm part of the creative universe, but not really, because you're behind the camera. So I put it down and I became the vision. So writing the book, The Ramp, was an incredible transition for me. Now publishing it is even more, because I'm nervous as hell, because again, I'm not J.K. Rowling. She studied the classics and literature and all that. I did not. But the story is what counts. I believe in dreams. I believe in something that all of us have, this inherent yearning to follow a purpose, follow a vision for our lives. Now, it takes an incredible amount of gumption, guts, maybe stupidity to let go of the shore, as the Hopi wisdom says. But when you let go of that safety, that safe zone, that's where the real transformation begins. It's frightening, it's scary, I get it. And, you know, I've got an incredible family and friends that have helped me, supported me in many ways, many ways, to navigate that fast-flowing river that I've let myself go into. But nothing for me, I don't think nothing great could have emerged from me staying safe and continuing to stay on the tools, stay doing the thing that I'd been doing my whole life. I needed to let go. I needed to jump in the deep end. It's all emerging now. It's quite interesting. I had a fantastic discussion on Sunday with Karen Mills Alston about this, about posting these videos, diving deeper and deeper into about the emergence of my story and my voice, finding my voice. It's interesting because what's coming up is this definite fusion of true creativity and a spiritual practice. Now, this is where the quote-unquote takeaways, there's all this language that they want you to use when you're doing this stuff. I find it, I don't know, it's not really me. What am I teaching you here? Teaching you how to do something. Takeaways, all that stuff, it's kind of whatever. But the key takeaway for me is that adopting and learning and discovering a true spiritual practice, and that the tent pole for that practice is meditation and prayer. That's when you harness the grace and the creativity of the whole cosmos. I'm not joking. If you can stick with me, and I'm happy to talk to you about it, shout out, send me a message, hit me up, we can have a discussion, a consultation, whatever you want to call it. But it's the most powerful practice in the world. You will harness. If you feel stuck, if you feel like you're, I don't know, I'm in my mid-50s, if you feel like you're in that part of life where you're not sure, you don't want to let go of the shore, you don't want to jump in the deep end in the middle of that fast-flowing river. But believe me, you have to trust. You have to trust in this guidance system that we all have. And if you can catch on to a couple of very simple tools, meditation is fantastic. It's simple. Don't get caught up in how to. Just do it. Stop 10 minutes a day, twice a day. Get to 30 minutes a day, twice a day if you can. And just follow your breath. Close your eyes. Build yourself an altar if you have to, or just take a seat and do it. Sit down and do it. Close your eyes and just follow your breath. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Get to 30 minutes if you can. It'll be worth it. That's when you harness the true creative power of the whole cosmos. Trust me. That's where it all is. Okay? And even though you might be going through extreme turbulence in the middle of that river, coming back to that meditation practice will save your ass. Trust me. The other thing that I was thinking about that's in line with this, someone who's coming up big on social media, of course, is Rick Rubin. Shout out to Rick. He's attributed to being this creative genius. He didn't know anything about the technicalities or how to be an audio engineer or an audio or a music producer. Listen to what he says. I don't know how to post it here. I'm not doing much editing. But he talks about the exact thing I just said, harnessing the power of the cosmos. If he is ever presented with a problem or he needs a solution, he closes his eyes and he asks for guidance. He's basically meditating and asking the universe for the answer. It's all there. All the greats talk about it, including Elizabeth Gilbert in her book, Big Magic. I'll post a link below. I think it's fantastic. I've heard, what's his name? Chris, what's his name from Coldplay, the lead singer? Anyway, he talks about it. He talks about catching vision for songs. The songs already exist in the cosmos, and he's just been the one that's lucky to catch them. What else have we got here? Just, you know, if you can, please subscribe, like, and comment on the videos. I'm putting myself out there. I think one of the biggest takeaways I got from Gary Vee, who again I discovered many years ago, and he's still full of integrity to this day, is to take action. Get up and do something. Take action. I've got a newsletter out as well. I'll be linking that on LinkedIn and hopefully on the YouTube video as well. And again, ask yourself, where in your life are you clinging to the shore? Be like Jonathan Livingston Seagull maybe, and just fly higher, get away from the flock, you know? And maybe that's where the gold is. You know, you don't know. And I think you're never too late to discover that. Remember the back nine mindset. That's where the greatest part of the game is played. Don't be afraid to let go of the shore. I appreciate it. I love you all. Thank you so much.